Hello, my name is Lena. I'm the Vice President for Strategic Partnership and Workforce Innovation. What that means is at San Jose City College, perfect, good enough. At San Jose City College, hello, everybody can hear me, right? Do you need a microphone?
That's better though.
It's okay, great. So then we'll go with that, Judy. My role at the college is just that, to go out into the industry and look at partners, strategic partners that help us move the college forward in the workforce innovation, such as the program Technest. So today, for my segment, I'd like to share a little bit about the history of Technest, how has it grown, and then I'm also would like to introduce to one of our biggest partners, Greg Waters, right back there, a former CEO, and he's going to tell you how our curriculum is industry driven. So you'll see a very unique program that we're offering you today at the college. So basically, the idea of Technest came about. Our chancellor right now was a former president. He's like, you know what? How do I train the student to get the best training at the fastest rate with the current technology that everybody needs to know in Silicon Valley? It's high earning, high wages, right? So honestly, he knocked on a lot of doors and people said, I don't know if I'm ready to work with you. How does the industry, because there's always a disconnect of education and the company. Everybody said, but we made it. We had a working formula. So our chancellor went and knocked on everybody's doors. Finally, MIT was willing to talk to us. And right now, when you start in the program, our first course is coding, and that curriculum is from MIT. So think of the 3 million students and plus that take MIT courses in computer science. When they start out with coding, that's the same course you're taking, okay? So after that, we say, you know what? Coding's good, but we need something to build out the Technest. So we went to UC Berkeley. So UC Berkeley, we have a partnership with a 3-unit fully articulated for data science. So imagine you're paying what, 150 plus versus 500 plus for data science at Berkeley, okay? So after that 2 course, the neat thing is we brought in what we call industry driven, and Greg will share with you the Internet of Things like IoT. Now this is when you get the foundation, the introduction, the foundation, and then you're gonna start working in teams with engineers, with your own team, and you build a product. And that product is, you pitch essentially a Shark Tank. And I could tell you, Valerie's back there, she's part of it. One of our former students is now an employee for Greg. So you do get jobs, okay? And currently right now, I am working with Microsoft to build out the artificial intelligence and the clouding. And you can't be in Silicon Valley if you don't know entrepreneurship. I don't care what field you're in. You can be a librarian, you still need to know about entrepreneurship. So we include that entrepreneurship so you know how to sell your idea, how to get funded, how to start research. So as you can see, Technest, you have the computer foundation, then you have the applied learning, and then you have the entrepreneurship to bring it all together. But I think Sean will come in later on. On day 1, you start with your employment readiness. We start working with you with an employing agency, so you might be interested in a consulting job, you might be looking at, so you're ready day 1. At the same time, we also partner with LinkedIn, so LinkedIn will help you with your profile, so that way you're set to go. And I have good news to share. I actually got started talking to one of our partners, and she has a platform, and we've been trying to get this credential, because you're training so fast. How do you assure that when you go to an employer, they say, hey, you completed what you know? So we're working with a partner on a platform we can capture your training, okay? So all that within 5 minutes. But the program has evolved, and we just recently secured funding from the state to turn this program into an apprenticeship. So can you imagine when you're done, the program is called Computer Programmer. That is the title for this apprenticeship. So who knows about apprenticeship? What's apprenticeship?
Actually, you go on job, like training, and then future employment.
Okay, So the good thing about apprenticeship is learn and earn. That is the magic word, learn and earn. So basically, you going to class at the same time, you're also working at the company, you get paid. And the idea is that with apprenticeship, you're in the gateway. So when you're done, there's already employers say, we want to hire the individual, okay? So right now, Christian is not here, but Christine is also my team back there. And we're working on the paperwork. And Greg is actually helping us with the industry partners. So you're actually going to class and go to work, or we might do all class and then work. But that program is going to get launched in January, okay? So just a tidbit, I'll turn over to Greg so that you know where you can go for answers and questions. I'll set up the stage. After I'm done, Greg is going to talk about industry-driven and an excellent program. Greg promised me, Lena, 3 classes. After, if they're interested in IoT, they can get a job and a good paying job. And Greg is extremely famous in the industry out there for all the manufacturing-wise. After Greg, Mark is actually the original faculty that taught the MIT courses. So Mark will share with you about 106, which is the Python class. And then Sanjay is our newest full-time faculty. So welcome, Sanjay. He would talk about data science. So you can see all our faculty have a specialization. So Sanjay will share about that. Cecil back there will talk about IoT and entrepreneurship, okay? So now when you're done, you're going to get a lot of information about how to enroll all this. Do not get confused. If you say, I'm interested in IoT and I want to go that way, please go see Cecil. He will tell you about how the class is structured and what you need to do for that, right? Don't get nervous when you hear the directed study and stuff. It will get itself worked out. Mark will talk about the coding and the Sanjay, and then in between, Christine will talk about, we have support for you, tutoring, books, all the stuff, transportation voucher, and I believe Valerie will share a little bit about the student experience. We also have Benjamin, who is one of our counselors that could help you. So at this time, I would like to turn it over to Greg, and Greg can talk to you about why is it so important now that companies come to us and say, we want to partner with you, we want to train with you, because Greg is a Fortune 500 CEO, and I'm like in awe. Like, I work with this gentleman every day, and with his expertise and his connection, his network is unbelievable. And we're so lucky to have Greg as our partner. And Greg, if you can tell your program and how is it industry driven and all the great things that we're working on. Thank you, everyone.
Well, yeah, thank you. A little too kind of an introduction. I need you to talk to my wife, I think, actually. But listen, good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming. My name is Greg. This brief to tell you why we've got a bunch of colleagues in the room at Technest. And I'm going to give you the perspective from industry. So I am a career tech guy. I worked in the tech industry my whole career. And I'll tell you, I just think it's an amazing industry. And I even think every industry these days is becoming a tech industry. So this whole kind of old thinking about there were tech companies and then there were other companies, I think has already gone away, right? Every business, every employer needs people with tech skills now. Now, when we started working on this, and it was almost 3 years ago, with City College and the rest, we were sitting in industry, and most employers, most companies, established companies, have very sophisticated hiring and recruiting plans for 4-year colleges, or if you've got a master's degree or a PhD, for instance. And those are really well-organized programs. They've got great job descriptions. There's a lot of competition for people with that background. But we stepped back and we were creating a lot of jobs, and we were having a hard time finding people with these skills, and particularly hands-on skills, people that don't necessarily have to invent the technology, but know how to use the technology and apply the technology. And these are great jobs. They pay a lot of money. They are with cool companies, and you get to work with cool people at cool locations. And we're not finding enough of these people in Silicon Valley. This is everywhere, right? So no matter where you want to live, it's not just a Silicon Valley thing. It's going on everywhere. So This was back in 2016, 2017, and we said, well, let's do something with a two-year school, a high-quality two-year school. And we didn't even start with City College. We talked to many, many different schools all over the United States. But City College, after about a year of searching, had already started to move in this really cool concept, this Technest thing. And you may not realize, but this is really unique. I've not seen anything like this anywhere in the world. They are taking City College courses, right, from City College professors who have made them. They're taking other courses from other educators, like the MIT Python course that Mark, I lost Mark, but Mark Brennan is here. You'll hear from him shortly, is teaching. There's the data science course from Berkeley. And there are 3 Internet of Things courses that you can take, which have been developed by some of the people in this room. And so if you look at that combination, if this is kind of your thing and you get some energy about learning this type of stuff, this is an amazing program, right? So if you take every course in Technest, right, which is about 6 of them, if you add them all up, you are going to be highly marketable, right, here or elsewhere, right, wherever you go. So that's one. The second thing I wanted to point out is just a little bit of personal encouragement, is don't be intimidated by this stuff. One thing about technology, it can be very intimidating for most people. The acronyms are weird. It may not be stuff that you've ever done before. How much do you really need to know? You need to be an expert coder or something like this to be successful in these courses, or even to get a good job. My answer is, do it. I mean, go for it, right? So if you can become an expert in any of these disciplines, you're set, right? You'll have a great career. But my other point to you is that it's not necessary, right? People need to have basic understandings of things, for instance, coding. If you need to be a computer scientist, you need to be an expert coder, if you want to be. That's another question, right? But I think coding is a little bit like English. You kind of need to know some, right? So you don't necessarily need to be an expert. The second thing is data science. And this sounds really, really boring, doesn't it? I mean, how many of you thought I want to be a career data scientist? Okay, good, right? Data science is everywhere, right? If you are building your own personal wealth, how do you manage your finances? How do you invest in the stock market? Or what is a good stock market investment? Should you invest in real estate? Should you do something like that? That's data science, right? You will be better, right, and make better decisions if you understand a little bit of data science in everyday life. And if you can get these skills and really become really good at them, you can take this data science background and go into practically every industry. I don't know any industry right now that doesn't want a lot more people with data science. So my last point, and I will step down after that, is I want to talk about the IT courses. If you go through that brochure, you can read this on your own. I want to talk about a unique asset of the Technest program, which is corporate sponsorship. So as you go through these courses, 2 things. The IoT courses have been developed by people that either work in day jobs in the industry now. So you have the inventors of intelligent lighting, for instance, here. Rudy Heckfeldner is in the back of the room here in Milpitas. On the phone is Dan Noby, lives in Chicago. And these guys invent this stuff. These are the people that are creating these cutting-edge technologies right now. And they have put the cool stuff about, for instance, intelligent lighting into a 14-week course. So you can learn what is bleeding-edge stuff going on in the industry right now, and you're going to do a project and make an intelligent lighting system that actually does this. The initial course, Intro to IoT, which has been developed by Cecil Lawson here, who is an adjunct professor here at City College. Cecil also used to work in industry for many, many years before coming to teach. So you're going to put projects together. You're going to get them to work. Like anybody, if you're like me, there's always some uncertainty and drama in getting stuff to work, right? But you're going to learn a lot of stuff to do it. But the courses are set up so that they are designed to make people that pay attention and work hard, you will get it to work, right? You do not have to be, we assume no mastery, right, of any topic to come in these projects. Yet you will need to work, right? So if this is something that you think you can cram for before the final exam, probably it will not work. These projects need to keep some steady pace. But what I leave you with this thought is this, and I'll talk about Technest overall in the IoT courses. If you find you have an inclination or a desire, right, to become good in these types of disciplines, if you're here at Saturday morning, I assume you do have some of that motivation. I really dare you to find a better program. Right? This is a fantastic program in the eyes of industry, right? We would love to see more graduates of the Technest program right now. If we had more would be hard. The second thing with IoT, which is where our contribution comes into this, if you get through even 2 of 3 IoT courses, we in industry will view you to be highly desirable, right, for paid internships and potentially full-time jobs. And this is starting to happen already from the earlier classes. Lastly, the courses are complementary. And I'll give you an idea. If you take the introductory IoT course, you don't have to learn Python, but we do use a lot of Python, so it's useful. Mark is teaching Python. So, for instance, right, taking Python and the intro IoT course at the same time is fantastic, right? It is completely complementary to what you'll be learning from those 2 classes. Then you get into Berkeley Data Science and an upcoming course that will be in the spring, which is how to make money from IoT data or how to make money from data. Once again, completely complementary. What you learn in the Berkeley course, the City College course, you will also be applying in real life, right, in the how you make money. In intelligent lighting, you have the expert here today, Andrew Heck-Fellner, who is a famous guy around the world, who will be explaining some more. So let me stop there, but I think we are lucky to have City College being progressive in the way that they think about modern education. And this is now our 3rd year, Lena. So glad.
And I was going to say too, we just got approval, so you actually get a certificate as well. So just imagine the Technest, you start with the 4 courses, right? Those are the certificates. Now, if you want to go to level 1, level 2, then it's really go back in specialization. So right now what we have is the coding, the data science, the IoT. So after you met with Rudy, you talked to Greg, and you're like, you know what? I want to get the IoT technician. That's my track. Then you just have 2 more courses, right? So you take the IoT, Cecil's and Rudy is actually teaching the elective for intelligent lighting directed study. So especially you have a certificate with a specialization, let's say the IoT. Then the certificate specialization in data science with Berkeley. So right now, Sanjay is going to come on the team, work and take all our courses. So far, Berkeley Articulate 1, they're looking at 2 more, so 3. So essentially, you have that pathway as well. The coding, we're still working with MIT. They really wanted to articulate and move forward with the entrepreneurship, but we thought the entrepreneurship really should be in Silicon Valley. So that's where we're looking at. But you have the general, which still get you a job, and then if you want, you can specialize, okay? So at this time, I will give the back to all our faculty, and they would tell you exactly what you expect in each of the courses that you'll be taking with us. Okay, thank you, Mark, for you done.
Oh.
Mark's up first.
Thanks, Lena. All right, so just to reiterate what Lena was just talking about, one of the things that we got approved this last year is a San Jose City College certificate for the Technest program. The certificate is called the Emerging Tech Entrepreneurship, and then we have a level 1 and a level 2. For the level 1 certificate, you need to take the computer programming class, either CIS 106 or 24C is also approved to count for it. And then you need to take 107, which is the data science, and 108, which is Cecil's Internet of Things class, and then the business 68, which is the entrepreneurship class. For the level 2, it's all of those things plus another class of business, so the introduction to business class, as well as one other class in either computer programming or in data analysis, whether you take like the XML class or you take data structures or something like that, would count for the level 2 certificate. And I'm in the process of creating a level 3 certificate, and once we have the level 3 certificate, we will be able to have an AS degree. But that's like on the 3 or 4 year plan, so it's not that probably won't happen for another couple of years, but that is my grand scheme plan for how it will all turn out. Yes, question.
So what if you took the 24C class? Would that be added to that extra class for understanding data and programming?
So 24C is essentially the equivalent of CIS 106. Yeah. So you would need to take something else for the level 2 certificate. Okay. You could do 24C instead of 106 for the level 1 certificate, or for the level 2 certificate for the to fulfill the programming requirement. But for the extra class, for the elective class, you could take one of the other 24s. So we have a 24A, which and a 24B. One of them is PHP, and one of them is C++. No, C++ is like 54. Forget which one. One of the Java maybe? No, Java is like 84. That's the other. Anyway, I don't have the numbers memorized. I always look them up. But whatever it is, that's the course in programming. Okay. All right. So speaking of programming, the class that I'm talking about today is Technest 1, the Introduction to Computer Programming, which is CIS 106. The most important thing about this is that there is absolutely no programming experience required, and in fact, it's totally okay if you already know how to program and you want to relearn how to program, but the assumption is that you know nothing about computer programming. What the class is all about is it is all about how to think computationally, how to think the way that computers think, how to think the way that computer scientists think, to understand really what are the step-by-step requirements in order to build and do a computer program. And so like I said, it is a beginning Python course, so it's talking about the beginning. But the important thing for this is that, again, if you've never ever programmed before, this is the class that you want to take. And like I said, even if you have programmed before, this might be the class that you want to take, especially if you took a computer science class and you kind of sort of got it, but not really. This is the class that you want to take, because I guarantee you, you will get it at the end. And one of the reasons that I guarantee that you will get it at the end is that my background is obviously in computer science as well, because I am a computer scientist, but my undergraduate degree is in theater. So clearly I am, a computer scientist. I happen to be a theater major who really loved computer programming. I wrote my first program when I was like 8. So I love computers, I love technology, I love writing programs, I love doing computery stuff. I carry my cell phone on my hip pocket. I am a computer geek. However, I also am a theater major, which means I know how to speak ordinary human speak. What I like to tell people is I am a geek to human translator. And so one of the problems that I have with most computer programming classes is that they tend to be taught by computer scientists who really love math and really love science. And I mean, I get it. That's the way that, people tend to teach the way that they assume that everybody loves the same things that they love. And that's why, and I get it. I understand it. But I also understand, the ordinary human-y stuff. And so if there is something that we talk about that doesn't make sense, and almost always when what we do in the CIS 106 class is that MIT produces the lectures from the professor from MIT. And what we do is we watch the lectures from MIT, and I stop it like every 3 minutes or so, and I say, okay, here's what he said. This is what he really meant. This is what is really going on. Because it's been my experience that what is clear and obvious to a mathematician may or may not be clear and obvious to, an art major. That's where I think I'm pretty good at. So that's what we're doing in the CIS 106 class. For 106, we are offering 2 sections of 106 this coming semester. The first section is going to be meeting right here. Well, not right here, it's over in the tech lab, but in this building on Wednesdays and Saturdays. It's Wednesday evenings, 6 till 9, and Saturday mornings, 10 till 1. And then we are on the main campus on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 a.m. till noon. Now, the thing is that I record every single section. So I record either the Wednesday evening or the Tuesday morning, and then I record either the Saturday morning or the Thursday morning section. So if a particular week happens to come around and you're not able to come to class, don't worry about it. You can watch it online, because I publish it and allow everybody to watch it whenever. Similarly, in my case, because I happen to be teaching both sections and I happen to be teaching the exact same things on both sections, if you are officially on the Wednesday, Saturday, and a particular week happens and you can't come on Wednesday, but you are able to come on Tuesday, come to Tuesday. Or alternatively, if you're on the Tuesday, Thursday, and a particular week happens and you can't come on Thursday, come on Saturday. And if you just can't get enough of it, I would be fine if you come on Wednesdays and Tuesdays and Saturdays and Thursdays. If you just can't get enough of it. Plus, you can then watch it, over and over and over again at home and whatever, because it'll be recorded, and you can watch you can hear the same stupid jokes over and over and over again. So that is the key thing that I wanted to say about that. We'll talk about it in a little bit, also about how you actually enroll. I don't think I do that on here yet. How you actually enroll in the class. The way that you enroll in CIS 106 and 107 and 108 is that we have this little assessment that I want you to fill out. It's the bit.ly link that I had on the first slide. It really is, it should take you no more than 5 minutes to fill it out. The most important questions on there is, what is your name? And what is your student ID number? And are you currently a student? Those are the most important questions. The other most important question is, which section do you want us to enroll you in? Because that is how you actually enroll. The way you actually enroll is by filling out the assessment form. And then we have some questions. And the questions should be, if you already know how to program, they should be super easy, and you should be able to just go boom, 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 boom. Here are the answers, done. If you have never programmed before, the correct answer is, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, and I don't know. If you already know all of the answers, then one of the things I'm going to ask you is, are you sure you want to do 106? Because it seems to me you probably already know this. You might want to go into 107 or 108 instead, to which you might say, well, yes, I know this, but I really want to review it and all that. Fine, great. That's totally fine. But the 100% correct answers are, I don't know. So I don't want you to panic or worry or anything even remotely close to worry about the assessment. It is the simplest, easiest test that you'll ever take. Any questions before I hand it off to Sanjay? Yeah.
I saw online it was Python or 106. Am I right?
Correct. Yeah, Python is what we cover in 106. Yes.
Oh, okay.
So basically, let me be more precise. CIS 106 is all about computer programming in general and how to think computationally and how to think like a computer scientist. And we happen to be using Python as our programming language. But I would say the more important focus on it is less the specific Python syntax, although I absolutely am going to teach you the Python syntax. It's more about thinking and understanding what you need to be doing. And one of the reasons that I really prefer this approach to teaching computer science is that today Python is all the rage. And one of the reasons that Python is all the rage is because it's extremely versatile. Python can be used in data science. Python can be used in computer graphics. Python can be used in web design. Python can be used to build computer games. Python is used for everything. If you wanted to be a web programmer, I would argue PHP is a better choice. If you wanted to be you want to work on, I don't know, video games, I would say probably C++ is a better choice. But that doesn't mean that Python can't do those. They can. It's just that those would be probably a more specifically. So one of the things that's great about Python is that it's used in everything. And that's the way it is right now. That's why it's so popular, is because it's used pretty much for everything. It's, I would argue, if not the best, the second best on pretty much everything. But 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, it will probably be some other programming language that will be the most important and bestest programming language that everybody should be learning how to do. And so I think it's less important to know the specific syntax of how to do it specifically in this particular programming language, and more important to understand the overall concepts and how to think computationally. Because if you understand how to do it in Python, you pretty much know how to do it in Java. And you pretty much know how to do it in C++. And you pretty much know how to do it in PHP. Now, there are obviously differences, but it's one of those things that if you know how to do it in one, you pretty much know how to do it, or at least it's relatively easy to learn how to do it in the others. And so that's why I focus in the CIS 106 class primarily on the computational thinking aspects of programming, and I also talk about how to do it with Python. So it is a Python class, but it's more about how to think computationally. Is that clear? Yeah.
Why Python is developed?
Why was Python developed? So one of the reasons that Python was developed was because the guy who invented Python, one of the things that he noticed was that in most other programming languages, like, for example, C, it doesn't use human-y sounding words. So, for example, in Python, to print, you use the command, well, print. In C++, to print, you do C out and then a curly, which, if you think about it, it kind of makes sense because you're outputting, and so, okay, it kind of makes sense, but print is a better word. And so it's not human sound, it's definitely not human English type things, but it's closer to human English than I would say most other programming languages are. And actually there are some, newer programming languages that are being developed that are even more human-y sounding. So that's why I'm saying it's entirely possible that 5-10 years from now we might not be teaching Python, we might be teaching something else, but it will still probably be CIS 106 and it'll still be computational thinking because that's really what's the most important part. Other questions about 106? Yeah. Oh, it's 18 weeks. So we start the week before the regular semester starts, and we go to just beyond the regular semester ends. So it starts on January. The CIS 106 is going to start. The Wednesday, Saturday section will start on the Saturday after Martin Luther King Day, which is like the 20-ish, 23rd? Sure, 23rd. And the Tuesday, Thursday section will start on the Thursday, so if it was the 23rd, it must be the 21. Whatever the Thursday is after Martin Luther King Day is when CIS 106 will start.
So do you have actually I went online and they didn't have a Python in the evening. So all the classes are in the morning specifically for Python programming, not for 106.
Not true.
Or to be
Python programming is Wednesday evenings and Saturday mornings, as well as Tuesdays and Thursday mornings.
Not 106.
You're talking about 24C. 24C is a completely different class.
Okay, but
they cover a lot of the same material. 24C and 106 cover about 90% of the same material. It's just from a different perspective. So 24C is all about learning Python specific syntax. And we happen to also talk about computational thinking in 24C. In 106, it's all about computational thinking, and we happen to also be talking about Python. So it depends on what the focus is. 106 is primarily about computational thinking. 24C is primarily about the syntax. Which again doesn't mean that we don't talk about both and both, because we do talk about both and both. Other questions about 106? Yeah.
So what is the main use of Python?
Everything. The main use of Python is everything that you do in computer programming. There is nothing that you can't do with Python, really. I would say that one of the largest uses of it right now is indeed data science. But another useful one is, again, playing around with gadgets and stuff with Internet of Things. Another use of it is developing web stuff. But so I mean, you can use Python to do everything. Yeah.
Can you develop EDA tools using Python?
Can you develop
EDA?
Yeah.
You mean EDA is exploratory data analysis, or what do you mean by EDA?
No. Let's say design automation tools. So let's say you have some hardware,
Right.
electronic hardware, and you do simulate everything.
Yeah,
You
you
can
can
do that.
absolutely do that using
Yeah, so
Python.
Python usually is supported in Raspberry Pi and supported in Angstrom, no matter which low-level device you pick. You have Python compilers for that. Should be fine.
All right. So with that, I think I'm going to pass it off to Sanjay, who is going to talk all about data science and the CIS 107.
Thanks, Mark. Question?
We use in CIS 107 and in 108 only Python coding or another language we can use in that both the courses.
107 is Python. So 108
No,
is
108 can be others.
106 is Python.
106 is Python. 107 is Python.
107 is Python.
Python, yeah.
Okay. 108 is data science.
108 is the IoT course.
IoT.
So, what is the IoT language?
Internet of Things. So in IoT we can use any of the language like C, C++.
Is it primarily
Yeah,
Python? Yeah, primarily Python.
Yeah, 108 is also primarily Python. Yeah, but you can use any language, but the courses start in Python. Yes.
What software can be used for learn Python?
To learn,
You can use like Bluetooth and Java or something.
well, to learn Python, like we use, I think for the 106 they use a tool called Spider, which is an editor that you use. You'll learn more about that when you join the course. Okay. All right, hey guys, my name is Sanjay. I'm the instructor for the 107 course. So the 107 course is the next level after the 106. The 106 is an introduction in Python, and the 107 basically, uses Python in order to teach you data science. So it's a foundations in data science course. Obviously, like data science is pretty popular these days. Like a lot of you are probably here because of data science, because you've heard about data science and you're here to find out more and learn about it. So this course is all about giving you that foundation in data science. Like what exactly is data science trying to do or trying to help us with, right? So just to give you, just to put things in perspective, right? Today, obviously, like every decade or so we evolve, right? I mean, so if you think about it, like maybe a century back, you had like the agricultural revolution. Like 30 years back, you had a digital revolution coming in with web programming and all of that. So right now, we're actually on the wave of the next revolution, and that evolution is basically based on data science. Right? Data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence. That's the next wave that we're currently, sort of climbing or getting on. And where we are right now is sort of at this, pretty much like at the very beginning of that. It may seem to you that, some of you that you've missed the boat, but really, I mean, no matter which AI expert you talk to, they'll tell you that we are at the beginning. We're just learning. We don't have a self-driving car that actually works today, right? All of them are experimental, but nothing is deployed. A lot of the work done in machine learning right now is very trivial compared to what it can do, right? For example, 10 years from now, you'll probably be talking to a machine, right? And you'll be able to debate with a machine, right? So that's how advanced things can get. But where we are right now is we're still at the very beginning. So my point to you is, data science is an exciting field, right? And what I want you to know is that we're still at the very beginning. There's still a lot of growth that this field is going to see. And, you're right. The timing for which you're trying to consider this field is just right on, okay? Because if you climb the wave now, you'll be successful, okay? So the other thing I want to talk about is, just to give you a little bit of sense of why data science is so powerful, right? So first off, there's data, 20 years back or 25 years back, there's probably one connected device in your home, right? Maybe you had a PC, right? Some of you are probably younger than that, right? Maybe there was a PC at home, right? And that was the only connected device that you had. But today, like in my home, I have like over 50 devices that are online. I have two kids, they have their iPads, cell phones, Alexa, Google Home, like everything is connected. And everything is collecting data, right? Collecting data and, looking at your lifestyle, looking at, your activity, how are you interacting with it? And, and the data that is being collected, right, has just been accumulating for several years, right? And we've been wondering like what to do with all that data, right? So finally, like around 20 years back, like artificial intelligence and neural networks has been around for like 30 years. It's not something that just happened like 5 years back. What happened 10 years back, 8 years back, is we actually found a way to make it practical. Before, it would take a supercomputer to use, this data about, say, for example, like looking at data, like looking at maybe a picture of a cat and saying that it's a cat. It would take a supercomputer to do that. What we figured out now in the past 5-6 years is how can we do it in a much simpler way, using your iPhone, using a much simpler device. So that is essentially the technological change that basically made data science and all of this other work, that's all the machine learning stuff, AI, actually accessible. Like they call that the democratization of data, meaning that where like weather forecasting, you had to build a supercomputer for that. Today, you can do weather forecasting on your iPhone. And that's the change that happened. And basically, like what's going on right now is we're all catching that wave, and we're trying to see what else can we do with the advances that are being made with the tools that help us do this data science. Right? To give you another example, data science is also about learning. Like machine learning is all about how do you recognize a cat, right? For example, and it's all about teaching a machine to recognize what a cat looks like, right? Like for example, like when I see you, for example, next time I go back and I see, how do I know that it's you? Essentially, like my mind is registering pictures of you, right? Every second, how many pictures of you am I picking up? How many? 25 pictures, 25 frames per second, right? So that's how much at least your camera operates in. Your eyes capture things even faster. But if I'm picking like 50 images of you every second, just in 5 seconds, I've picked like 250 images of you right there, right? And that is the knowledge that's then getting like sort of assembled in my neurons, and it's allowing me, when I see you the next time, to know that it's you. We teach machines the same thing. We feed machines pictures and pictures of cats and dogs and all these other animals, and then the machine gets smart enough to know what a cat looks like, right? And it's the same thing that we do for everything. We give it data about you, and then that allows you, for example, like Netflix, right? You watch certain movies, and then we look at other similar people like you, and we find out that, okay, they have similar behaviors to you, and then we recommend movies that you watch to them. But it's all about this learning exercise, and data science allows you to do all of that. So that's why this field is so popular, because you have data, and now finally we have the tools that let us bridge the two together to make this beautiful insight. Okay. Now, just coming back to the course, right? So the course basically talks about 3 topics, right? So the course is divided into 3 modules. The first module talks about using Python programming for data science, right? So the prerequisite is obviously that you already know Python programming, right? So when you come here, we talk about certain Python libraries that allow you to do data science. There's a library called Data Science that was created by the UC Berkeley team. So that's what we're going to use to do, the data science, operations and all of that. The second module that we're going to look at is about statistics. And this is really beautiful. See, I mean, when I was teaching statistics way back, like, in New Jersey, like 10 years back. And at that time, we didn't really have, computers were not advanced enough for us to, understand the theory that was taught. Like they talk about central limit theorem. They talk about, law of large numbers, right? All of these things are, somebody like does the theory, and then you read the textbook and you figure it out, right? Today, the beauty is that with computers, you can actually, write programs, and you can actually see all of that happening. All of the theory stuff that you just read from textbooks, you're actually doing it today, and you're experiencing it yourself, right? And a lot of what we're going to talk about in the statistical section is all about that. How do we use computer programming in order to do something called statistical inference, right? So that's what it's all about. And the third module is about machine learning itself. And that talks about, how do we actually, use machine learning to do predictions? Like how do you, for example, distinguish between cancerous cells and cells that are non-cancerous. That's something that we are learning about as part of the course today, right? There's a project, there's an exercise that actually has data about folks that have and don't have cancer, and that talks about how to use this thing called nearest neighbor algorithm to predict if someone has cancer, to predict if someone has diabetes. So these are things that you're actually going to see in the course. So we're going to talk about all these wonderful things that machine learning allows us to do. So that's essentially what the course is all about, right? The course is basically using Python programming. And again, the prerequisite is Python, because what I don't want happening is for you to come to my course to learn Python. I want you to learn data science, which means that you should be good at Python, and we can talk about data science. Otherwise, you're just trying to learn the constructs in Python. So that's largely what it's all about. It's an exciting course. I'm excited about this. I mean, I did my data science at UC Berkeley. I just passed spring of this year. And I'm currently heading AI, engineering for AI Labs, which is a part of Ernst & Young. So I have this background, and I'd like to share that with you and try to see how I can use that to help you all become better in this space. So those are the class hours. So Friday 6 to 9 p.m. and Saturdays 2 to 5, especially for folks who are working. Really convenient, right? Probably for students too who have to go to school. For them to do this in the evening, we try to make it really convenient for you all. Okay. So any questions? Yes.
How much statistics do we need to have?
You don't need any statistics. So we actually teach you all of that. Yeah, it's pretty exciting for students who don't know statistics, just to see what stats can do. It's pretty exciting, yeah. Any other questions? All right, so I'll hand it back to Mark.
So Cecil, you're up on to talk about
Internet of Things.
IoT.
Thank you, Mark. I showed a video earlier. Some of you may not have seen it, but I think it lays a really good foundation. And the best way to think of IoT is, I think, with regards to Python programming or data science, consider that like a steak dinner and a lobster dinner. Mine is more like a buffet, where you get a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Specifically what you'll get, and I'll show you in the video, you'll get 8 areas. We expose you to 8 areas, but most importantly, it's hands-on, and there is a capstone project, which means you get to apply. This is what employers want. They don't want people who pass tests, although that is good. They want people who know what they're doing. So when they hire them, they have an expectation, and that expectation is realized. So let me run a quick video here for those of you who haven't seen it. There are just a few important facts to remember about the Internet of Things. Attending just one class at San Jose City College will give you hands-on experience in 8 of the fastest growing segments in the tech industry today. Careers in programming, data science, cloud services, computer networking, and others. These jobs are among the highest paying available. So why are there so many high-paying jobs being generated by IoT? Just follow the money.
Apple is now led by CEO Tim Cook, who talked to Lester in November.
You may soon be head of $1 trillion company. When you think about that, what goes through your mind?
Financial news now. Amazon makes history, becoming only the second publicly traded company to top $1 trillion in market value.
Wall Street's $1 trillion club has a new member, Microsoft. The company hit $1 trillion in market value for the first time today after its latest.
To better understand why so many jobs are being created by new IoT tech, you have to go back a few years to early Silicon Valley. This British researcher Kevin Ashton, who, by the way, in this picture bears a striking version of the Dos Equis frontman, the most interesting man in the world. Anyway, Kevin Ashton was the first person to coin the term Internet of Things back in 1999. On his Wikipedia page, the term described as a system where an internet is connected to a physical world via sensor. The important terms here: connected, physical world, and sensors. This is the late co-founder of Apple Computers, Steve Jobs. A few years after Kevin Ashton coined the term IoT, Apple Computers introduced the iPhone in June of 2007. The iPod team at Apple included a phone function and connected the device to the internet. They called it the Internet Communicator. One important note: this is why your smartphone is actually an IoT device.
A widescreen iPod with touch controls, a revolutionary mobile phone, and a breakthrough internet communications device.
Apple employees Tony Fadell and Matt Rogers recognized the potential for the new IoT market, so they left Apple and started a new company called Nest. First IoT thermostat by the same name. The product was so popular, it was purchased by Google for $3.2 billion just a few short years later. And with a simple handshake from Mr. Google himself, began the IoT gold rush. When sitting on the table, everybody wants to play. That's Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon.com. He introduced us to smart speakers. Pictured here are Eric Friedman and James Park. They introduced us to smart watches and wearable technologies. Oh, and you remember rocket man Elon Musk, president of SpaceX? He also introduced us to the largest IoT device of them all, the Tesla battery-powered automobile. So why should you care about all this IoT stuff? That's simple. Careers in high technology just pay better. You don't need to be a genius to get a high-paying job in IoT. If you want to have a good standard of living, you need a professional career. And if you're searching for a career with long-term growth, you can't do any better than IoT. Taking an IoT class at San Jose City College introduces you to 8 of the hottest areas in technology in just one class. We're talking about Python programming, IoT security, database management systems, cloud services like Amazon Web Services and Microsoft Azure, computer networking, these small computers called SoCs and embedded systems, environmental sensors and actuators, data science, which is a really hot area, and hands-on experience. For additional information, visit www.sjcc.edu. And thank you for watching. So that video should give you an idea of what areas we cover in the IoT class. There's really 2 classes, and one is a self-study class, a case class that goes into IoT lighting, and I'll have Rudy talk about that in just a minute. But to understand, the video tries to tell you that there is a story being told. It started with the late Steve Jobs, and it accelerated from there. In my industry, we have this concept of big data, right? All this information that's being gathered on your phone. Although I see that you guys are taking pictures of it, but this is just gathering enormous amounts of information. This watch is gathering information. This Fitbit is gathering information. I have 3 of them. How many of you have 3? Anybody know? Anybody competing? Anybody have more than 3? You win if you do. But it's gathering a lot of information, which that information is somewhat useless until you know what you're looking for, and you're kind of looking for kind of like a gold in a silver mine, as Elton John would put it. So what data science does, and Sanjay did a good job of explaining it, is it tries to understand enormous amounts of data, the problem that we have in creating the data, and tries to understand from the aggregate what's really going on. Let me give you an example. When everybody walked in here today, you guys sit in a particular place. I do this all the time in my classes. There's a reason why you sit on the front row. It could be everything's blurry. It could be that you want to be noticed. It could be a number of things. Some of you don't want to sit next to other people. Some of you sit in the back for easy escape, right? So what I do in my classes is I'll do things like correlate when a person comes in to their test scores to see if there's a correlation. I'll also see what types of students sit where, as far as if they're timid or if they ask a lot of questions. Because what I'm looking for is I'm trying to predict when you sit in the middle row and here, what type of student are you? And I do that every semester. It's just compiling information. Now we have computers. Now if I put a sensor in that chair, then I can get a little bit more information. Now if I put a sensor at the doorway, I can understand who came in when, when you took a break, when you came in, if you came in late, if you came in a little earlier, right? And that tells a story. If I'm looking at one person, it's interesting. If I'm looking at a million pieces of information, it is fascinating and filled with lots of potential. So what we do in IoT is we take you through the story of the market that is developing. And it is true, we are at the beginning of a wave of technology. This is about the third wave I've experienced since I've been in the industry. One was a hardware initiated wave. We're looking at a software initiated wave. And there's a lot of opportunity, no joke. I mean, just look at the employment rate right now and then look at the demand. Don't believe me? Go on LinkedIn and look at the demand for these types of skills. So one of the things I want you to remember is Bill Gates, founder, a co-founder of Microsoft. I think he is now the richest man in the world. He and Jeff Bezos at Amazon seem to compete for that position from time to time. He noticed a problem, what they call the skills gap. Now, the skills gap is, yes, you go through your training, you get your certification, you get your degree, but are you matching the skills that are most desired in the industry, which is really why we're here. We're trying to align your skills that we give you, practical skills, so when you walk out of our classroom, people will hire you. It's just that simple. There's no complexity about it. So it's the alignment. And in the IoT class, what we try to do is not only show you the theoretical, not a deep dive like data science or Python programming, but sort of a narrow dive, just to let you understand the full breadth of the story that's being told. You can then choose which area you go in. You may love database management system. You may think that data science may be the most fascinating. I think it is one of the most fascinating areas that's evolving right now. Python programming may be the place where you want to be, or a number of other areas. The other day in my class, I showed a list of the job potentials in each of these areas. There are hundreds. Jobs that you've never heard of before that pay great salaries and benefits that are available right now and will continue to be available in the foreseeable future. So that's what I'm teaching. It's really kind of exciting. It's the newest of the three classes. But let me tell you a little bit more. I'm going to introduce or have Rudy come up and talk to you a little bit about the intelligent lighting class. So any questions about the IoT class at all that the video didn't explain? Quite an exciting area. It has a little bit of everything. Just like I said, it's sort of like a buffet. You take a little bit of this, you take a little bit of that, and if you like this, you take a little bit more. But let me talk a little bit about the capstone project. And I notice I have a couple of students who may want to, I'll have them put them on the spot for a couple of minutes about their capstone projects. The capstone project is I'm introducing you to a little bit of Python, a little bit of data science, a little bit of database management systems. We talk a little bit about statistics, kind of a refresher, just so you know how to apply all this stuff to a potential product that you will create. And literally, you're coming up with this idea. Gee, I want to do something that does, like I just came up with an idea. I want to put sensors in your chairs so I know who sits where. That could be an idea. It could be marketable. And we take you a little bit in the marketing and the business aspects because we just don't do this for no particular reason. At the end of the day, people are selling products and services. And wherever you work, you will be selling a product and service. I mean, we're a school, we have a product and service that we offer. This is what we do, education, right? So we want you to know the basics of how this mechanically works. Dr. Tran talked a little bit about the entrepreneurship program. And it takes you through the paces of a business program, like marketing, sales, forecasting, and so forth. But it also has a Silicon Valley flair to it, which is I've done 3 startups myself, and I participated in about 23 others as an advisor. I'm advising 2 companies right now. So what I can offer in that class is the reality of what actually happens here in Silicon Valley when you're down at Wall Street trying to sell stock, or as you're creating what we call the red herring before you actually do an initial public offering. So I've gone through that before. We've made a lot of mistakes when you go through a lot of companies. Some of them fail, but some of them are wildly successful. So I try to bake that into the entrepreneurship class as well, which is Business 68. Okay. So I'm going to have any questions about IoT. I'm going to have Rudy talk about.
Actually, you want to tell them about the.
Oh, I'm sorry. So the way we do this is we set up a set of meetings, both here. We do a lot of our meetings online, and like Mark, I record those meetings. So if you can't make it to one, you can listen at your convenience to another meeting. But we also meet at IDT Renaissance, which is down in South San Jose. they are partners in crime in this, and they help us with the tech. These guys, really, they're the technologists. They're working, they're doing it. That this is you meeting people that actually do this for a living, and one of the leading companies in that space. And so we have several meetings set up with them. We try to adjust these a little bit depending if we get a class, so I can't make it on this particular day and so forth. So we'll adjust those a little bit. But these are the expectations for the actual physical meetings. We'll set up at the convenience the time that we do the virtual meetings. We use online meeting spaces to do that. So again, we can adjust those. In fact, tomorrow I'm meeting with the team because Sunday morning is the time that they can meet. And that's what we figured out, and we'll meet in that time. So we'll work that out. So if you have constraints like a job or other classes and so forth, I would put that aside. That's not going to be a gating factor in your ability to join this course. We'll figure that out somehow, and we always do. We've done this 3 times, and we'll continue to figure that out. So you get the maximum value out of the course and get you employed in whatever field that you like. I think the next one. All right. So I'm going to bring up Rudy. So this is a directed course. We've done this a couple of times before. It works a little bit different. It does have the scheduled times and places just like we talked about. But what it is sort of, if I was the cake, here I'm using more food analogy, but if I were the cake, this is the icing on the cake. And it's intelligent lighting. So I'm going to, now that I set that up, I'm going to bring Rudy up to have a talk about it. And by the way, Rudy is more than happy to show you all that cool stuff he has back there later on.
Yeah, we're going to lend some light bulbs in the course. This is going to be exciting. Let's start with the question. How many lights, street lights, are in the city of San Jose? Just a guess. 10,000? 2,000? Higher.
More than that.
Yeah. How many?
30,000?
30,000. Who said 30,000? More or less? How about you? 30,000?
Something like that.
Okay. 62,000. 62,000 streetlights. How many are in New York? New York.
More than 7.
Yeah. How about, let's start with 100,000. More or less than 100,000. Who is offering more? 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 200,000. More? Less? 100,000?
500.
500. 250,000. So 250,000 streetlights in New York. So how many light points do we have in the US? Light points, lights, not including cars. Street lights, light bulbs, traffic lights, house lights, parking lot. Yes. Millions? A billion.
30 million.
Billion. 8 billion.
8 billion?
8 billion light bulbs. 8 billion light points. Only a few of them, less than 1%, is intelligent, is connected. So what we are doing in this class, we're teaching you the skills to start connecting things. You're using lights simply because everybody can see it. There's no reason to use lights. You could use anything. You could use door locks, sirens, motors, windows, anything. This course is going to give you the skills to understand how to connect things together. Manipulate the data analysis. Do something with the data. In our course, we turn on lights that change the color, or we turn on the door locks. That's what we do in this course. And when you're done with this course, I could be one of your hiring managers. I work at IDT. I hire people, and what I'm looking for is skills that are hands-on skills, practical skills, and understanding in the mindset of how to get things done. Because we need to get things done. We need to provide results. Why? Because we have competition. You're competing with other companies in other countries. You need to produce more, better things with the same skills or better skills. So what we are trying to teach are the skills that help companies like mine to compete in the global markets. Does that make sense? So what we are doing is we are introducing this technology to you that is further ahead that the universities could teach you. because this technology is relatively new. By the time the courses would be through regular academic systems, they're likely already outdated, or there's better things you can get the same results with. So we are trying to bridge that gap, the gap that Cecil was talking about, the skills gap. So this course that is introduced to you by industry leaders, it helps you to close that gap. So you are competing, you have a better chance against your competitors when you interview for a job. That's really what this is all about. So this is why you're doing it. So now, what are we doing? Well, we are connecting input data from sensors or from the database, or just look out at the camera and detect the status, what it is today. Then we figure out what we want it to be. For example, well, it's getting dark outside. What do we want it to be? Well, we want the lights to turn on, right? Very simple skill, very simple example. So what is in between? In between is the logic, the data analysis, the data collection that decides what to do. So now, in the olden days, you looked out the window, it gets dark, you walk to the door and you turn the switch on, right? This is yesterday. We are now in a global world. I can switch on a light in Penang, Malaysia from my computer right there. And that's totally normal. That's what we do today. We turn things on and off anywhere in the world because everything is getting connected. So what we are teaching here is how light works, how your eye receives light as a sensor. We talk about different sources of light. We talk about different light sources. Light bulbs, fluorescent, LED, laser, plasma lamps. Introduce all those. Then we show you what you can do with them or what you cannot do with them. We show you the purpose of lights versus others. For example, you would use different light sources for, let's say, the meat counter in the supermarket than you would use in your car, right? The meat counter in the supermarket has lots of red, which doesn't help you when you drive a car, right? There's not a lot of red out there. Then we are connecting this together with wireless communication networks. This is what my colleague Dan Newbies will introduce to you. We talk about wireless communication. We talk about link budgets. We talk about antennae. We talk about various different wavelength propagation budgets, as well as protocols. So you will also learn how you get data across a space with wireless communication. And then we are putting everything together in a capstone project where we actually get together in one of those meetings and create a project together that then will be introduced in a final, we call it a Shark Tank presentation, or we also can do an interview kind of a style presentation where you plead to judges to either fund your Kickstarter or to hire you as an intern or as a full-time employee. So that's what we are doing. So the exciting stuff is we are learning about LED technology. We are looking into what's in the LED itself. We are actually blending in an LED light bulb so you see what's inside of it. We're looking in what it takes to connect to an LED and actually illuminate it. Because if you put an LED into a light socket, like you would do with a light bulb, it's a big surprise. And you may actually have that surprise. We keep it safe, though. So we'll be sure you'll be safe. And then at the end, we hope that you have something you can take away, you can put in your resume, and you can show your friends, parents, and your future employers. So that's what we are trying to do. So we give you an all-around understanding of a thing that when I'm a hiring manager, I will be asking you for. And I would be asking you to show me what you have done at school as well as outside of school. What are your interests? What is your mindset? How do you go after solving a problem? Where do you start? How do you get to a result? Do you have the skills to get this result? If you don't have the skills, what questions will you ask to get it? So this is the idea of this course. So it's called Intelligent Lighting. It's a CIS 98. And we will start February 5th, 10 a.m. in Milpitas. Yes.
This course includes only on light sensors only and another sensors also in this course.
So there is, what is your course, 108?
108, yeah.
So CIS 108 is about environmental sensing in IoT as well. So this is a focus on environmental sensing, and a focus on intelligent lighting.
By the way, to answer your question, it doesn't mean you can exclude other sensors. In fact, I use lights within an environment because I can turn lights on and off from red and blue, whatever I need to if the environment were to change. So there's a little bit of crossover, but the intelligent lighting will focus on that whole area of lighting. It's the icing on the cake.
So yeah, you can collect data with sensors, or you just can use data that's available. For example, you go on Google or Yahoo and say, hey, is it sunny today or is it raining today? And that's usually enough information for you to do something with it. If you need real-time data that's complete, correct, consistent, and real-time, then a sensor would be helpful. So you get this information directly. Many times today, however, it's enough to just go into a database somewhere in the world and get the information. You had a question?
Like take both the courses, CIS 108 and 98 both?
You can. This is two icings on the cake to get the icing and the sprinkles too.
Oh, but then the timing and the date.
You want that?
That's okay because they should be exactly the same because there's commonality. For example, the Nexus is IDT, so you don't want to take 2 days. These engineers are working full time, and so we'll do both at the same time. So you're absolutely right. And the answer to can you take them? Oh yeah, great.
Just one additional comment I wanted to add, and I forgot to mention it earlier. If you flip through that handout I did an hour later, you'll see a page that says IoT Global Innovation Contest. And this is a program that will run once a year in the spring, and contestants, people, you, teams, right, like the student team will be part of that. You can enter if you want, right? So it's a global contest. So people will be competing for up to $50,000 of scholarship or entrepreneurial money. We've had several student teams that did so cool on these projects, they wanted to continue. They weren't done. It's only 14, 16 weeks. To make it into a better prototype or maybe even a product somehow. And this is one mechanism where you need a little money to do that, right? If you have a cool idea, one time you can do it. And the reason I mention it now is I encourage you to take both of these courses. They're complementary and they are a little different, right? Seasonals course, you're going to learn a little bit about everything. The intelligent lighting course, it's you're going to use the same exact things, but it's much more specific. You're going to build a very specific thing. Maturity will do it. Now, if you tackle both those courses, you will definitely have the skills to enter that contest. Now, you may not want to, but it's if you've got those two skills, you will have the qualifications to put some type of a submission as an individual, as a student team, or whatever, something like this.
Thank you, Greg. Yeah, there's real money. So I'm going to take a minute to just. I'm sorry.
Well, if you take both courses, there's going to be 2 different projects. Now, since you have a lot of, so this is really a question for you, Marie. Hey, do you have to work on 2 different projects, which could be daunting? It's possible it could be the same, but you've got other students. Well, why don't you address that question?
So regarding the capstone projects, if you come after the show, back to my table I set up, in addition to the blender I brought, you also see a little box, which is the capstone project kit, which gives you all the equipment that you need to participate in the final projects. So we have 3 paths in this project, in the lighting. And there's also another path that goes over to the sensing course as well. So the 3 paths are an individual project that you basically say, hey, I have a great idea. I use this capstone project kit to build this idea. But I don't want to share it with anyone, and I don't want to work in a team. I do better by myself. That's one. There's the second one where you say, we focus on if this, then that. It's basically if a tree falls over in China, I want to be sure somebody in Europe plans one. There's always a if this then that. If I leave the house, I make sure that the garage door is closed. So what that is, it's the contextual awareness that is allowed by IoT to happen. IoT is really all about contextual awareness, connecting devices, making decisions, changing things to what you want it to be. If this, then that. And the third one is actually focusing on wireless communication. We are having a wireless network that we're building up in this capstone project. We call this a 6-low-pan network. We tell you all about that, but it's a self-healing mesh network. So if you want to focus instead of IoT or lighting, if you want to focus on RF communication, high-frequency wireless communication, there's a path for that as well. That project will be based on a group, a team, because a mesh network relies on multiple nodes connecting together. So you need to have other team members to have more capstone project kits to connect together. Then there's projects that you can overlap or cross-connect with the sensor course. So you can get together with the team that takes the sensor course, or the sensor course team can connect with our intelligent lighting team to produce a project that senses data, connects it wirelessly together, and controls some light somewhere in the world. So these are the 4 things that we offer based on your personal interest, your skills, what you want to what you want to learn, or who are you with in the course. Make sense?
So I just want to take a minute. We have some previous, so a lot of your questions is, if I sign up for this course, what happens? What do I do?
Or really for all of our courses, because the students that we brought today have taken all of the courses. And I wanted them to just really briefly just mention, their experiences on it, and then I wanted to have Ben talk a little bit about counseling, and Sean to talk a little bit about work to future. So we'll try. Less than a minute.
Okay. So basically, yeah, I took 106, 107, 108, and the business entrepreneurship class, and I could talk to you guys after. He was in my group, and do you want to talk a little bit just quickly about our project?
So I took 106, 107 here with Mark and Sanjay, and then I took 108 with Cecil. I think we were the first group to go through that, and I think Greg kind of saw how rough things were for us at that time. We really had the hardest time selecting a project initially. But it's just getting to it and then starting working on it. We were able to create a sensor-based system that would detect the quality of your transportation or your producers and so on using IBM, Hyperledger, and blockchain and that kind of stuff. So you can come up with and do whatever you want in those projects. And I mean, you are the only limitation. I mean, you can build as much as you want or as small as you want. And it's the best part of it is you're doing hands-on stuff, so you learn the most. So you apply you learn programming, you learn data science, but then what do you do with it? This is what you do with it, right? So that's where you learn the most, and then you get skills for presenting in front of people and doing a pitch to people like Greg, right? So in short, I think that's a pretty nice way of learning about the whole area, right? And this is just a starting point. From here, you can go on to whatever you want to do. You will have to learn more, right? This is just the start of your journey in a way, right? So keep that in mind, right?
And I'm Matt. This semester, I'm in 107, but starting about a year ago, I started with the program meeting Cecil. I did a presentation with my group. We collaborated to make a prototype of a prosthetic leg with sensors that could detect the moisture level for a prosthetic leg, because this is a problem that people with prosthetics have. So we got a really good chance to present this in front of all the important people at IDT, like Greg, Rudy, lots of other hiring managers. It was a really good experience, and I ended up working at IDT as a paid intern under Rudy for 6 months last year. This semester, I'm focusing on the classes, helping out with these classes, specifically intelligent lighting. But basically, a year ago, I had some Python knowledge, but I hadn't really thought of data science. I hadn't really thought of a way to apply this stuff. And it really gives you a chance to be creative and use your skills and make a project and think, oh, this is an inefficiency in the marketplace. This is something that doesn't exist, and this is how I can use sensors to make this work. And so it's definitely been a good experience and helped me, like you said, it's a step on the journey, and it's definitely a good one. I would recommend.
We did the food sensor together.
Oh, okay. But did you want to add anything? Did we kill you in the process?
We were the guinea pigs
Oh, okay.
in this class, so it was a little less structured, but we all learned a little bit about, obviously the technology side, the marketing side, and bringing all of our backgrounds together to just put into an idea and then, do the final presentation.
And you'll be available to answer any
Oh,
questions.
yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
very good.
He
All right.
said to keep it under a minute, so I was
Okay.
do it really quick. But you guys can totally talk to us afterwards. We're going to be around and talk about the different classes and expectations.
Thank you.
All right, Ben.
Sorry.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ben Granger. I'm the counselor for San Jose City College here at the Milpitas Extension. I want to talk to you about a couple quick nuts and bolts things about actually getting into the classes. So first off, if you are a current San Jose City College student or have taken a City College class within the last year, then all you have to do to register for CIS 106, 107, or 108 is to do the online assessment, okay? That's it. Just the fact that you're here, you're a current student or have taken a class recently, all you have to do is the online assessment. That's how you register. If you have never taken a San Jose City College class before, or the last time you took a class was more than a year ago, then you'll need to do a new online admissions application. That application takes about 24 hours to process, and then you'll be receiving an email with your San Jose City College ID number in that email. If that's the case, we have computers, and right after we're done with the orientation, we'll set up the computers. Myself and Michael Castro, our admissions coordinator, will be helping you to submit those applications online, okay? You also want to do the assessment today, but just know that because you're just submitting your application, it does take at least 24 hours to process, and so you probably won't actually get registered for the class until next week. No one will actually get registered until at the earliest next week. But you can still do all those steps today, okay? The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is I think one of the best things about this program is that you don't, all the pieces by themselves are valuable. However, I think there's even greater value when you combine them. And if you do combine them, then you can go on to earn the certificate and if you want to talk about what that certificate means, how these classes transfer or fit into larger programs, associate degrees, bachelor degrees, whether they transfer to universities, the answer is yes to all of those things. But if you actually want to talk about how to do that or how they fit in, that's why you would come and see me as a counselor, and I would help you along that process, okay? So they do transfer. These are transferable classes. They do count towards degree requirements, both associate and bachelor's degree requirements, but how we fit them in and what we use them for might be unique in each of your individual situations. If you're wanting to sign up for the entrepreneurship class, which again is part of this certificate, then there's a separate registration process. It's just the normal student registration. And if you would like to sign up for the IoT lighting course, there is a separate process for that because that one is called a directed study. It's almost like a individual project kind of class. So you're going to be working directly with the instructor. So we'll guide you through that separate process if you want to register specifically for the lighting course, okay? So 106, 107, 108, just the online assessment and the new student application if you need to. Any other class, just a regular registration. But if you want to take the lighting course, there's a separate process that we'll have to guide you through in order to complete that. Okay? Great, thank you.
Thanks. And the second to last thing I wanted to have come up and talk is Sean. So Sean Guest from from Work to Future.
Good morning, everyone. So once you complete all of this wonderful learning, what are you going to do with it? You're going to want to get a job, right? So how many of you have heard of Work to Future? Quite a few? Great. So we actually partner with San Jose City College's Career Center so that we can help students put together their resumes, we help them with interviewing skills, and we also provide one-on-one career counseling as well. Now, Work to Future is actually funded through the Department of Labor by corporate tax dollars that employers like Cisco, Apple, companies like that pay so that they can get people like you who receive training into their workforce. Now, there are some brochures in the back as you leave. I recommend everyone take one. Whether you're, if you're ready to go into the job market now or if it's down the road, it's still something that you can have access to. And we also offer some online courses as well that are free of charge that can help you accentuate your Python training. It's through Metrics Learning. We also have some on-the-job training opportunities as well with companies like People Shores and the Systems. So our address is located in the back of the brochure. And if you have any questions, feel free to let Mark know and we can come and give you supporting tips. Right?
Thank you so much, Sean. All right, so the final thing that I wanted to do today is to tell you where to go to get the assessment. Here it is. So the only thing, so you can use any device to access it. You can go on, if you want to use a real computer, and you don't have a real computer, we have the computer set up in the bio lab that you can use. If you are not already a San Jose City College student, or the last time you were a City College student was more than a year ago, go and talk to Michael Castro, who is right there, and right now talking to Ben, and he will help you do that. The link to the assessment is bit.ly/Technest-spring 2020, and I'll just quickly show you what this looks like. So if I go to this web page and I go to it, this is the assessment. Shortly, I will be taking what we've been doing today and substituting it for this little video, so people who weren't here before, they would be able to watch it. We want you to put in who you are, and the most important question is, which section do you want to sign up for? 106, 107, 108. Once you've done that, so I will put in some fake stuff, so fake, Bakerson, and I think that's the only thing that's required. No, okay, fake, add Bakerson, and let's see here, next, all right, don't, no, there we go. So on the computer coding questions, these are the computer coding questions. So if you know this, great. If you don't know it, the answer is, I don't know. And, what are the values of A, B, and C? I don't know.
Mark, could you add another option for the CIS 98? No. Okay. So if you're interested in the intelligent lighting course,
click on submit.
Yes, and maybe you can come afterwards.
Well, if you wanted to do the 98, what you could do is in this section here, mention that you also wanted to do the 98. Yes. All right, that's the end of the orientation that we had. Michael Castro is here to help you with anything admissions and records.
So I'm Michael Castro. I do admissions, records, enrollment services here. I'm going to be doing an application workshop over in the biology lab. I'll walk you right over after this. If you're a current student currently taking San Jose City College classes right now, then you don't need to reapply to the college. You're fine. And at some point, Mark will just put you on a roster to be registered. If you've been a student in the past, but you haven't been here for a while, you need to reapply to San Jose City College. Once you do that, that's going to open up your account again, and you're going to be able to register for this class, or we're going to be able to register you for this class, okay? So there's that. If you've never applied to San Jose City College at all, then you will definitely need to apply. Become a student. It takes 24 hours to get your student ID number, and I'll be able to do that with you today. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes to get this application done. A couple of things I've seen before is holds. Sometimes students have holds on their account. If you were a former student in the past and haven't been back for a while, that'll probably still be on your account. So if you want to fix your hold or figure out how to get your hold taken off, you can contact me after the actual workshop, and I can let you know what needs to be done.